Hi, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome once more to Autism Speaks. Are you listening? I'm your host, Anik. Okay, so today I'll be speaking briefly on autism and emotions, right? And as parents of children on the spectrum, we often go through a lot of emotions, right? A lot of emotions, and I know you can attest to this. And it doesn't even have to be parents who have children on the spectrum, just being a parent overall. You just have a lot to deal with, right? And so this episode is really to just find some sense of belonging as parents, some common grounds on which we can discuss and build on. So some emotions that I went through when I found out that I was pregnant with Shamir. I had just migrated here in the US, and I was studying for my boards to be a nurse here in the States. I was already a nurse in Jamaica, so I had to study for my boards, and then I found out that I was pregnant. I wasn't ready to have a child, I believe, because I had a child before. I had Faith, and Faith was like three going on 4, and so I was getting ready to get my house in order, so to speak, so that I could be able to work and provide for her. And so a lot of emotions started happening, in the sense that I felt like I wasn't prepared to have a child at the time. And so Faith, she grew on the pregnancy, but myself, I was trying to just ensure that everything was, provided for her. At that time, I wasn't working, and I was sick throughout the whole pregnancy. Every single day, I would wake up and just can't wait for night to come, so I know that the days are counting down. When Shamir was born, he was 5.3 pounds, and so he was underweight, and he was, they recommended for me to do breastfeed plus bottle feed, just to get his weight up. And so pregnancy for me was quite stressful, as I was sick throughout the whole pregnancy. I was having pain because I had fibroids at the time also, so I was having contracting like pains all the time, and so I was in and out of the emergency room. So you can just imagine how stressful that was for me. And so I felt as if I was not bonding too much with Shamir during the pregnancy, until the latter part of the pregnancy. I started looking forward to having my son. And so when I would talk to him in the room, I would read to him, I would sing, I would just, at nights, I would be up just talking to Shamir, because Shamir would not sleep at night. He was always moving. But when Shamir was born, I believe his developmental, the development aspect of him was on point, I believe so. I would look back on some pictures and videos of Shamir, and he was responding appropriately, I believe. When he turned like 2 plus going on 3, and that's when I started seeing some signs of developmental delay. And as I said in previous videos, that I had sought out help in terms of therapy and so on. But I said all of this to say that we as parents of children on the spectrum, we would go through a lot of emotions, right? And for me, I was encountering guilt, embarrassment, shame, because I felt as if I wasn't able to produce a normal child as society would deem the child to be, in terms of having all their faculties intact, mentally, emotionally, socially, and all of those things. And so I would go through all of that. I would wonder if I did something to cause my child to be like this, Was I rejecting him during pregnancy? You know, was I not eating properly? Was I too stressed out and stuff like that? And I would be embarrassed. I would be embarrassed to go places when anyone would invite my children, like to birthday parties and so on. I would be embarrassed to take them there, knowing that um, they're not like a typical child their age, and so parents as well as their children would be looking on my kids. Or I remember one child once said, "How come Shamir is still in a diaper?" And I mean, this is a child, but then you still feel some sort of way because you're like, how can they not understand what's going on? But you feel as if you don't need to be explaining yourself to everybody as to what's going on. So as the parent, you would rather not go because you don't want anybody to be looking on your child any particular way, especially if the child has a meltdown. How are you going to cope with that? How are you going to deal with that? And so I often had to go through all of those emotions. And I would question God all the time as to why is it that you would give me all these challenges to deal with when my life is already hard. I believe my life was already hard. I had a lot of stuff dealing with already. And to have to fight this battle that's like persistently in my face every day. Why would you allow this to happen? Those would be questions to me, and I consider myself to be a realist, and so I face everything head on. I am going to look at it for what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm not going to pretend as if stuff is not bothering me. I'm going to talk about it. And some people would kind of shun you because they feel as if, every time I'm with you, you're talking about this, you're talking about that. But don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Try and find someone that you can confide in. If it is one person, if it's a friend or a family member that will give you that time of day that you can kind of unload stuff on. Today I felt like I'm not doing as much as I should as a mom. Or, I felt as if I'm failing as a mom. This person doesn't even have to give you any form of pointers or any recommendation. They just have to be a listening ear. And so it is important that you would find such a person and hold on to that person. Hopefully you're able to trust that person, that whatever you tell them, it stays with them. You can confide in them and they're not just going to go about and spread your business. And for me personally, I don't care if what I tell you want to tell somebody about. I just want to know that I speak about whatever is bothering me, and that's one way in which I kind of offload, and it helps me mentally to deal with myself. Because if my mind is not right, I cannot be the best that I can for my children, right? And I don't want to be in a position where I'm always mad at my kids, I'm always irritable towards them. They're not looking at me as someone that they can come to talk about anything and just confide in me. And I want to be able to do all of that. And so it is important that you deal with yourself. It's important that you deal with the emotions that you're having, because trust me, it does affect people. It affects people in your immediate environment. It will affect your husband or your wife, people who are in your immediate proximity. Your emotions, they do affect them. And so whatever you need to do, find someone you can trust. You talk to them. Another thing that can help and that has helped me is to have like support groups. So support groups, you have support groups for children on the spectrum, like for the parents, grandparents. It helps you to find persons who are going through the same thing like you. You have some grandparents who have to deal with children on the spectrum, as if they are the parents. Maybe the parents are not available, and they have to deal with them. And these groups, support groups, they have like activities where it creates some form of inclusion. Everybody's coming together, everybody's working together, everybody shared a common interest and common goal as to kind of unwind. And this has proven to help many parents with children on the spectrum. Also, another thing that can help would be like persons counseling. A counselor can be of paramount importance to persons who are affected by children having a child on the spectrum. A lot of people will not tell you what they're going through, but it bothers them. I have spoken to a lot of parents who have children on the spectrum. Even since I started this YouTube channel, a lot of parents have come forward to me that, listen, I've been going through the same thing, but why is it that we don't feel comfortable to talk about these things? It's because people can be very judgmental towards you, and as much as you may not know, there is a stigma to people who are on the spectrum, autism people, and just people overall who have any form of disability. People would treat them as if they're less than and they're not important and that they don't have a voice, and they will try every day to dim that voice and dim that light in them and to quiet them, not because they're not like the average person. They do have a voice and they need to be heard, right? And so it's important that you deal with the things that are bugging you as the parent or grandparent or even family members. Deal with those emotions, because they will affect other persons around us, and you don't want it to affect even the child that you have, because trust me, they can read into your emotions, and we don't want them to feel like everybody is prosecuting them and everybody is down on them and so on, and then you as the parent, the one who they should confide in, you are doing no better, right? And so this is where counseling is concerned. The counselor should have a stance where they are non-judgmental and they are really open to listening to you entirely and to the things that are affecting you, and only to interject basically if necessary. But the purpose is for them really to just be a listening ear, to be non-judgmental, and this kind of helps person to get over these emotions by talking about it. And I'm a firm believer of this, because I've tried to not shut my mouth, in the sense that I want to talk about my issues, and not because things are affecting you negatively means that you're a negative person. And if you talking about your feelings or whatever is bothering you, and you feel like, or you perceive that someone is taking you as if you're negative all the time, or they may have said that to you, oh, every time that you're talking about so and so, you're so negative and blah blah blah. So I would advise you, for that person, to just stop going to that person, go to someone else who you feel like you can confide in. And out of all the persons that I've listed, a counselor would be the best one, in a sense that they're not there to give you any form of advice, really. They're just there to listen to you. And I would talk about things that are bothering me, and I like to do that because guess what? It makes me feel better. It makes me feel as if someone is listening to me, and you're heard. You don't have to get a response from the person that you're talking to. You just have to feel as if you're being heard, and that is of paramount importance to me. Another thing that I like to do is relaxation techniques, right? For me, I like to watch TV. I'll binge watch TV all the time. I like to watch mostly crime scene, investigative movies. And so I'll find myself watching movies. I like to get like a massage, facial every once in a while, pedicure, manicure. I like that. because it relaxes me, even though it may be short-lived. However, I do find that that helps a lot. um, if you like to go out by yourself, maybe you're a movie person, maybe you want to go to the beach and just lay on the sand, read a book, listen to music. What is it that you're doing that is your routine? You're creating a routine for yourself so that you can help yourself, because as parents of children on the spectrum or children with any form of disability, you get easily burnt out. Trust me, especially if you're working full time or you have a part time job. Regardless, you may have other children, you may have other projects that you're working on. You will get burnt out in a split second. And so it is important that you find things to engage you, to keep your mind occupied, right? So you find someone to unload stuff on, because you alone can't take all this burden, right? And so find something to do that kind of engages you, whether it's going for a ride, as I said before, laying on the beach, reading a book, just listening to music, or just being outside, going for a walk, exercising, whatever you find that relaxes you. It's important that you do this, because trust me, bottled up emotions, they are never good for you. And if you don't deal with it, it's gonna affect your children eventually. And so children on the spectrum rather, they also go through emotions. Would you believe that? Yes, they go through a variety of emotions. Even though they may not be able to verbalize, they do go through stuff. And as I said before, they can read into your emotions also. If you're mad at them, they know when is it that you're welcoming them. And so it's important that we recognize our emotions so we would not project it on them, right? And some emotions that children on the spectrum go through, they'll go through feelings of irritability. They'll have like sensory overload, too many sensory stimulations coming in. And so at times you will find them just screaming, yelling, crying for no reason. These are things that you would deem as sensory overload, right? For example, my children, I know when they have enough of TV time or watching the tablet, I will take it away. When I notice they have like sensory overload, they start to cry for no reason. Shamir will do this all the time. He will be just watching his tablet and crying, or he's looking up on the TV and he's crying for no reason. Nothing happened to him why you would think that he would be crying. And so it is important that you recognize these emotions. They may be scared, frustrated, depressed. They have meltdowns where they're crying and you're unable to calm them down, right? And they may also have tendencies for self-harm or harming others, right? They're crying for no reason, irritable. And how do you deal with these emotions? First, you have to identify what emotion the child is projecting or displaying. And in doing that, then you'll better be able to target that emotion. I gave an example earlier. If my child is crying on a tablet, I would take the tablet away, give him a break, and then maybe the child wants to sleep and the child is becoming irritable, and they're not going to tell you, oh, mommy, I want to sleep, or I want to take a nap. And so it's important that you would identify as to why the child is crying. And as parents overall, we do that, right? Before our children started talking and communicating with us, we would know what's going on with them. With a cry or a yell, you kind of learn, right, the different cues as to, oh, he wants to change his diaper, oh, he wants a snack, he wants to sleep, and so on. And so it's the same thing with children on the spectrum. You kind of learn their cues as to what is affecting them, what is bugging them, and as such, you will try to help that emotion, right? You will try to relieve that emotion. You give them a nap and give them something to eat if those things are identified, right? Because Children on the spectrum, they want to feel that they are loved, they are accepted, and they want to know that you have a welcoming stance when it comes to them, right? And we say that children on the spectrum, especially nonverbal children, or they don't communicate, or you would feel like they don't communicate. But these are ways in which they communicate to you, right? And you, as the parents, you are not just saying, oh, he's nonverbal, and you're kind of pushing the child aside every time they try to communicate in their way, right? That's their way of communicating to you. They're pulling on you, they're tugging you, they're taking you to where they want you to go, right? They're crying, and you know that they're crying for whatever reason. They're irritable, they're having a meltdown. For example, you take them to like an event, and they're in the crowd, a crowded area with a lot of noise, a lot of yelling and excitement and lights and loud music and so on, and they start to cry and behaving hysterical, right? That's the child communicating with you that, hey, too much sensory input coming in, stimulation, tone it down. So how would you respond to that? You will take the child away from that environment, because guess what? They cannot tolerate that. And so a lot of children on the spectrum, you're not able to take them to certain events and places because of this. And so it's important that you, as the parent, knows this, because if you do that, you're going to be embarrassed. You're going to feel like, oh, everybody's looking at you and probably saying the child is rude and the child is this and that. But guess what? The child already communicated to you that they do not like to be in such environment, and it's just for you to listen, right? And so these are ways that we help our children. So as a recap, autism and our emotions. We as the parent, we go through different emotions with our children. We go through different emotions because we feel helpless. We can't help them. A lot of things they're going through, and you feel as if they're not able to communicate with you. What if someone is bullying them at school? What if someone is yelling at them and cussing them out? And these things happen. These things are reality to children on the spectrum. More so parents, we feel as if we can't help our children. And so, how do you deal with these emotions? Personally, for myself, I deal with these emotions by talking about them. I will find someone to confide in, and I will talk about them. My mom is very active in my life, and I talk to her a lot about these things that are affecting me, and oftentimes she's just a listening ear, or at times she will give an input. But otherwise from her, what about a counselor? What about a support group? These things help you to cope, because you want to be the best person you can be for these children. You want to be strong, right? And another thing, as I mentioned, that I do relaxation techniques. I would do relaxation activities. I'll go have a massage, right? I'll go for a drink or walk, and so on. I listen to music. I watch the TV. That's for me. It may not work for everyone, but just find something that works for you, right? And also, children on the spectrum, they go through emotions, right? Whether it's irritability, anger, sadness, anxiety, depression, right? Self-harm, harming others. These are just ways that they're trying to communicate to you, especially for children who are nonverbal. Are you listening to them? Because in fact, autism does speak. Are you giving a child on the spectrum the time of day, or are you impatient with them? Are you just pushing them to the side? Oh, go sit down, thinking that they don't have feelings. They have feelings just like us. They may not be able to communicate just like us, or some people may deem them to be socially awkward, but they do have needs, they do have wants, They do have emotions, and they do want to be loved. They want to feel as if they are accepted, and they want to have that feeling of, belonging, right? And so I'm encouraging you to listen to your children, because they are speaking. Thank you for joining me today. I am Sanique, and please like, comment, share, subscribe, and turn your post notification bell on. Okay, thank you. Bye.